how are you? Thank you so much for joining us today on the Entrepreneur's Pitch on a beautiful Monday. Thank you so much for joining us today. My good name is Alice Onjera Mwangi, and today we want to discuss about the current economic state of our country. And with me in the studio is Odhiambo, who is an economy analyst. You are a man of many titles. Yeah. He's also a TV host and also a lecturer. So good morning.
Good morning, Alice. I'm actually very happy and pleased to be here with you today.
All right.
Yes.
So maybe as we get starting, you can start by telling us about yourself, as you tell us what is the current economic state of our country as per now.
Okay, my name is Samuel Odhiambo. I'm an economy analyst and I'm also a lecturer. When you talk about the state of economy of Kenya at the moment, we can describe it in a very few words, and we say it is very sad. Okay. And not only in Kenya, world as a whole right now, we are suffering. And the reason why we are not going to talk about the world is because we are concerned with Kenya. You don't talk about the jirani with your neighbor when your house is in disaster. First of all, you put your house in order. So when you look at the Kenya at the moment and the state of the economy, as I said, is very sad, it's very worrying. But the problem is, where did it start? So we talk about economy 2022, look at the month and we see the president, or we see the government, and then we see we are blaming the government, or we are blaming the situation. But then we are forgetting it. Where did this started from? The economy of Kenya started going down 2 years ago. That is from 2020. The statistic from the Oxfam and the Kenya Bureau of Statistics shows that by March 2020, the Kenya economy was standing at 17 trillion. It means we are making progress. Actually, we're making progress. Somebody will say that, how are we making progress when we were still having food insecurity and also the rate of employment was still low? But at least we're making progress, because when you talk about the economy going low, the economy going up, something that is not something that is coming up once. It's something that is gradual. It makes steps. It's coming up step by step. The same way, if it is going down, it's going down step by step. So the economy of Kenya at the moment is very worrying. The rate of employment is going low. You remember when the COVID-19 struck Kenya, companies, if not all, decided to retrench their workers. They were sent back home. So these people moved from urban to rural. And when you look at the employment sector, we are seeing that, according to statistics, that agriculture sector received most persons, employed more persons that actually were retrenched from the urban areas. And as you know, that agriculture is one of the sectors that actually is contributing the highest percentage. In fact, let me be specific and give you statistics. The agriculture sector in Kenya is employing, by 2018, was employing 33% of Kenya. By 2020 March, agriculture sector was employing 40% of Kenyans. Out of this 40%, 70% were coming from rural. Are you getting that? So 40%, the whole of Kenya. And out of the 40%, 70% are coming from the rural. Now, this agriculture sector actually was hit on the wrong side, because even though it was receiving workers or persons who are coming from town, who were retrenched from various companies, from hotels and whatsoever, the agriculture sector will take them, but then was taking them under contract and were giving them minimal wages, because they could come, when you come, because you know that agriculture sector never released their workers, apart from the companies, the processing companies, the production companies, that could not maintain the number of their workers, because the government came with so many rules and policies of social distance, blah, blah, etc. So most companies decided to retain their workers. But now we talk about the agriculture sector that decided to receive most persons who are coming from urban sectors. We're talking about the farms, because people could come, we could get at least go work in the farm, at the end of the day we give you 300 shillings, we give you 200 shillings, and people could survive. With that, as people were moving from town to rural areas, the economy that were actually built by these people who were working in urban, and they could be taxed, because you can't tax empty pocket. You only tax where there is something. So as they were moving from town to urban, it means their pockets were running dry. So the taxes and the tariffs were very low, because now they could not tax it from anywhere. So that was one of the reasons. So I've said one of the reasons why the economy of Kenya is bad, as I decided to put it, is because of the COVID-19. And people lost their jobs. We also talk about the climatic change. I'm going to tell you, Alice, that from today or from this show, we start looking at the economy of Kenya, that it is something that has decided to go down gradually. We talk about the climatic change. At the moment, when we were young, we could tell that June, April, blah, blah, etc., we are going to have long rains and short rains. They are not there. For instance, last year we were expecting long rains from October to December. Did you see any long rain or short rain? They were not there. Actually, we were expecting short rains. They were not there. So there is uncertainty in the weather condition. That even resulted, we look at the marginal areas, like the Wajir, the Pokot, the Samburu, and blah, blah, those livestock rearing counties. At the moment, they are expecting the economy to be boosted by the livestock production. But then the livestock are dying. We see Kenyan government by the end of last year decided to go into agreement with the Red Cross to slaughter 766,000 cattle, so that they slaughter and then they feed 360,000 household. Household means homes. So that they slaughter and they give them to homes. But then we realized that the Red Cross decided to move back, because how are we going to slaughter dying animals, sick animals, and then give them back to the people? Are we jumping from fire and then we are going back to the pan? Or are we coming from this crisis and going to another crisis? So we see that the climatic change has decided to make our economy to go that low. Then another thing, we are seeing that we have restrictions that happened. That was some of the causes that has caused Kenyan economy to go low. We have restrictions that most countries have imposed into the importation and exportation of their product. Let's say, for example, let me give you this example. For instance, Kenya decided to restrict exportation of sugar. So let's see, what if Uganda was expecting to use Kenyan sugar? Uganda is expecting to use Kenyan sugar. Then the Kenyan government decided to impose a restriction that Kenya now is not exporting sugar to outside country. They decided to increase the tariff. They decided to put a lot of restrictions, a lot of rules, and a lot of policies. Uganda will suffer automatically, because no sugar will be going to Uganda, because Kenya is not exporting their sugar to Uganda. Are you going to blame Ugandan government for that? You are not going to blame Uganda government for that. We see last week on Wednesday and Thursday, the Moroccans, we call them the Moroccans. Moroccans. How do you call them? The Moroccan citizens made it to street to protest over price inflation. Yeah. So it is not something that is happening only in Kenya. It is something that is happening globally. But the causes of this has happened gradually. It started with the COVID-19, then with the climatic uncertainty, and so many factors. And at the moment, we are suffering.
All right. So you have talked about the COVID-19 that happened in 2020, and now we're in 2022. Do you feel like we have recovered from the impacts or the effects of the COVID-19 as for now?
Let me answer you this way, Alice. When COVID-19 came, there were policies that were imposed by the government of Kenya. Are you getting that? To see how we can combat the COVID-19 crisis. And one of them made companies actually to retrench their workers from working condition. Another way is that by last year, not last year, but by 2019 October, the revenue of Kenya was hitting 889,000 Kenyan shillings when our budget was 3 trillion. Are you getting that? So I'm going to come to that. I'm just giving you overview so that I explain what I want to give you. So by retrenching workers, the government also, decided to revisit the rules and regulations of the taxation. You know that? That up from zero to 24,000 Kenyan shillings salary, there was no deduction. So it means that Kenya revisited the taxation process that it was levying on people. And even the company, because company now could not be levied this money because after all they are suffering, blah, blah, etc. So that means the revenue of Kenya went down. Automatically the economy was going down as well. Now, as we're talking now, if we say that this is 2 years down the line, Kenya should have recovered from the problems that were caused by COVID-19. I want to tell you that for us to recover, the same policy that we imposed on our economy so that we can combat COVID-19, we should revisit new policies again to see how we are going to boost back our economy. And that one has not happened. We just recovered from the COVID-19 restrictions like movement, exportation of products, border control, and etc. Kenya has not come out and said that now because we imposed this, now we are imposing that. So until we see how we can help this company, the same way we are going to see how we are going to go back on our feet again as economy. But we see the effect of COVID-19, we are still feeling it. There is no curfew. Hotels are opened. the whole night, but then they are still suffering. Workers have not, most companies have not made it to get their workers that they send away. Not the same person. I'm not meaning that if you send Samuel Odhiambo, then you have to get him back. But then we see that, and let me tell you, the statistics shows that out of, in fact, most companies in Kenya, most of them are in Nairobi. And only 20% of all the companies in Kenya are abiding by the Labor Control Charter of Kenya. That is, at least a company should have at least three-quarter of workers that are expected. But you see, most companies, you see, a very big company is managed by 20 persons. Only 20, but it's a very big company, but only 20% according to statistics. That means around only out of, that means if there are 10, only if it is 20 out of 10, that means only two companies are managing with the required number of persons. So it means that we are still where we were. We have only changed clothes, but we are still suffering from COVID-19. Until the government will come and say that we decided to impose this during COVID-19 stricken period, and now we are going to help you this way. We've not seen the government even giving money to companies, or, okay, they said that they loan them, they'll give them grant, but is it happening? It's not happening. So the effect of COVID-19 is still felt, and I'm going to give you statistic, Alice, that up to 2026, if I'll tell you the amount of debt that Kenya will be having by 2026, you are not going to believe me. Should I tell you?
Please do.
By 2026, Kenya will be running at 112 trillion debt by 2026. As you're talking now, you are having 80. Yeah.
But how did you come up with such a huge number?
Such a huge number you are coming up because there's something called, we have two types of loan that a country can be given. The first one we call sovereign loan, and then we have government loan. The sovereign loan is the loan that is given in the foreign currency. Like if America decided to give us loan, they are giving us loan in terms of dollar. If China decide to give us loan, they are giving us loan in terms of yuan. If UK decided to give a loan, they are giving us loan in terms of their currency. But the government loan, we are giving you loan in terms of your local currency. Now, giving us loan in foreign currency, actually that is the loan that Kenya is receiving in its highest amount. The only challenge is that it does not, actually the statistics that I've come up with, I've checked the statistics from Kenya Bureau of Statistics, IMF, and Oxfam, and African News for Business. They are saying that, in fact, that one talk about the interest that you are going to succumb to. Because if America give us, if China give us the yuan, shillings, in 2020, and by 2020, one yuan was relevant to 14 Kenyan shillings. 1 yuan was 2020 was relevant to 14 Kenyan shillings. At least right now, 1 yuan is 19 Kenyan shillings. Wow. And it means that those people, they are not going back to drawing board to recheck again their commitment and their contract loan on the sovereign loan that they gave Kenya. They are still sticking with what was there before. But as things are going up gradually, they are also increasing their interest according to the value of Kenyan shillings. Wow. By 2020, $1 was 106 shillings. Today I was checking the morning, $1 is 114 Kenyan shillings. So the interest that we are supposed to pay at 106 in 2020, right now if you are paying it, we are paying it as 114 Kenyan shillings.
But why should we be given a loan when we can't even pay the ones that we have as per now?
The reason why we have to get loan, Alice, let me tell you, even America has loans. There's no country that does not have loan. Yeah. The reason why government have loans, in fact, from when I started talking, you must have gotten it, that we have to get loan. Why? Our revenue by end of last year, December, was 920 billion 840. That is the revenue, the total revenue that was collected during that year. But then what is our budget? Our budget 2021-2022, financial year of 2021-2022 was 3.2 trillion. And then we are collecting 800.
But Does it mean
900.
that we as Kenyans, as a
Yes.
business people, do not make money? Where is the money going? Don't we have money to, sustain ourselves?
We do have money to sustain ourselves, Alice. But see, now the problem is the economy, the situation of the economy.
Yeah.
You can't force and stretch more than you can manage.
Yeah.
You see, with that 900 that you managed to collect from 800 that was collected in the previous year, it means that Kenya tried. It just means that let me tell you something that's normally happened. Let me start by giving a layman's explanation so that you understand me, Alice. If you are married and you are having your husband, you'll cook in a small sufuria because you don't want to waste food. Is that not so? Then after getting one kid, then you still want to maintain the same sufuria. Let's assume that the baby will be taking milk. Then you get 2 kids, 3 kids. You see they are growing. And then you still want to maintain that small sufuria. Where are you heading to?
No.
So to some extent, that's where we are. We are still assuming that that's where we are. The population of Kenya, according to 2019 census, was 49. I think was 49. I think I'm having that statistic here. I was looking at it and I was wondering. Total population 2019 was 47,564,296.
Almost 48.
From 30 million. We were 20 million, we were 30 million. Now we are 47. So we need to expand.
Yeah.
But you see, we are realizing that most companies that are employing Kenyans, most industries in Kenya, most of them like the ports, ports in Mombasa, the Maritime Authority, and etc. They are still working with the same number of workers they were with two years ago, they were with 3 years ago. But you see, we can't blame them because their hands are what? Their hands are tied. So the problem is, that is where we are. So when you will ask me how we can work on improving our economy, then I'll tell you what we are supposed to do. So that actually, so I'll tell you that so that we see how we can actually divert ourselves from using loan for our own development. Because from where we are, Alice, if you don't know, we are taking loan to pay loan.
Yeah, true. All right, I think we're going to take a very short commercial break. Okay. But when we come back, I want us to dig deep into the current, hashtag that has been trending, lower the food price. Where did it come from? No. So that is what we are going to be talking about once we come out, once we, finish this small break that we're going to take as per now. Don't go anywhere. Talk to us on our social media handles, DGTV Kenya, Facebook, Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere.